modern Nintendo Switch era Fire Emblem has mastered one aspect of the game design better than any other except Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War, and that is the mid-game arc climax. And what do I mean by that? I mean, a lot of Fire Emblem games, they have distinctive arcs of their story, right? In Fire Emblem Three Houses, it's very obvious the whole game is divided in part 1, White Clouds, and then part 2, depending on which house you picked. And the climax of part 1 is going to be To War, or the name that it has in Edelgard's route, where you basically are fighting for Garreg Mach, and it's going to be a defense map if you chose to not side with Edelgard, or it's going to be you're attacking to seize if you fought with Edelgard. It has beautiful imagery, cutscene, great music, and the actual map, like, gameplay is, like, really fun, at least by Three Houses standards. It's an excellent way to complete that first part. Similarly, at Fire Emblem Engage Chapter 17, I feel like I don't even need to talk about this. We all know this is one of the best maps in the series. That 6 Emblem vs. 6 Emblem showdown was incredible. But if you compare these to what other Fire Emblems were doing before, it really doesn't compare. Like, in Awakening, you had the arc where you fought Gangrel, and it's kind of just an open desert. You can kind of just rush Gangrel low-key. Or you have the whole Walhart Valm arc, which also ends a little bit anticlimactically, I'm not gonna lie. Fates, I feel like part of the story failing a lot is that it doesn't really feel like there's much of a climax, a mid-arc climax in like Conquest or Birthright. You're kind of just going along with the overall journey. And it's more so based off what sibling you're fighting or what sibling you're recruiting, honestly. And then in Revelations, like, you could argue that it's kind of like the arc where the chapter where you fight both Ryoma and Xander, which I actually think is a good one. It's the ones with all the water. It's very pretty, but I feel like it's probably actually for that whole first part of Revelation ends up being the fire map, or the map after, where all the Norian siblings, the last Norian siblings and the retainers join, and then you go to Vala, and that map is like, eh. Path of Radiance has a whole 4-part like climax to it in the middle of the story with the whole Heron slavery and Benyon plot. That wraps up the Benyon arc, which was good story-wise, but gameplay-wise, although it's cool that Ike promoted. And then Radiant Dawn, obviously, each act has an ending to it. The best one probably being Alencia's Gambit, which is pretty good, but I still wouldn't put on the same level as Three Houses or Engages. That might be pretty highly debatable, though. Probably the closest to that level of all the games we talked about. FE6 has the Taking Back Ostia map, which is actually terrible, like the long corridor, and then it has Versus Narsha map, which is like pretty aight. But still, the best overall has got to be the end of Genealogy. But even that is just story-wise and not